Hey friends, thanks again for tuning into this. Man, yesterday, Sunday, was just a really weird day for the church. It was a wonderful day, but it was a weird day as hardly anybody met in person throughout the globe, but continued to preach, continued to worship, continued to encourage each other through technology. And here's the wonderful part, is that there are people who heard the good news of the gospel who would have never stepped foot into a physical church building. So that is an amazing thing. God is doing amazing things, even in spite of the real challenges that we face as a world. And I want to talk to us today about how we can be the people who focus and communicate the good report, the good news of what God is doing. There's a time in the narrative of the people of God as God was moving them from bondage to a land of promise, where they're getting ready to enter into this land of promise, and Moses sends out spies to go check it out. You can read about this in the book of Numbers, chapter 13. And of these 12, 10 come back, and it says they gave a bad report. And they gave a bad report because they saw the enemy as giants, this obstacle that they cannot overcome. 2 came back and says, yeah, there's some big bad stuff out there, but our God is bigger and we can do this. And I want to talk about how you can be the person who gives the good report. And man, it's so powerful when you give the good report, because you tap into something that is more real than what you're experiencing in the natural. You see, to be this kind of person doesn't mean that you stick your head in the sand and you don't recognize that there are giants out there. I mean, there is a falling stock market, a failing economy. People are being affected financially. People are being affected in their health, of course. I mean, this virus is a very, very real threat. There has to be a moment. There needs to be a moment in our life. There needs to be a moment in your life where you stop telling God and others about your giants, and you start telling your giants about your God. Yes, you're big, but my God is bigger. How do you be that person? Well, you need faith. You need to be a person of faith. The book of Hebrews says this is how we get faith. It says faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word of God. I love how Psalms puts it, Psalms 1. It says that to be a person of joy, to be a blessed person, you don't walk where everyone walks. You don't sit where everyone sits. You don't stand where everyone stands. But here's what you do. You are the person, the happy person, the blessed person is the one who delights in the word of God. And they meditate on it day and night. The happy person is the one who meditates on it day and night. They become like a tree that's planted by streams of water. And when the world comes with its giants and its difficulty and its pain, you're unmoved. It's fascinating as well. In Galatians chapter 5, it talks about really where the true source of joy and the sense of steadiness comes from. It says that joy is a fruit of the Spirit. Joy is not a fruit of success. So man, if you're thinking, and I know a lot of people are thinking this way, I just can't wait till things get back the way they were and the economy gets back and that's not where joy comes from. Joy does not come from success. Joy comes from God. Joy is a fruit of the Spirit, is not a fruit of success. So that means that regardless of the circumstance, right now, you can have joy. How do you get it? By believing the good report. So here's my challenge for this week. Can we do this? I want you to take the good news challenge. What does that look like? Well, for every minute that you spend reading a bad report about what's going on in the world, I want you to read about the good report. Every time that you have a thought, an anxious thought, that's causing you to spin out, I want you to take that thought and I want you to pray it through. We talked about this last week in Philippians 4. Paul says that do not be anxious for anything, but in everything, pray with thanksgiving. And so the good news challenge is that when you read something bad, read something good. When you think something bad, pray it through till you get to gratitude and thanksgiving. And here's the other thing. When someone tells you about what's bad out there, you tell them about something that's good in here. And so that's how you become the person who believes the good report. So will you take the Good News Challenge this week?